Let's address a daily frustration echoing across your branch network. The lost deal, the customer who walked away to a competitor. Here's the hard truth. If you lose a customer because of a difference of 0.5% interest rate, it's rarely your rate is high because your perceived value of the service is too low. Welcome to the Revenue Systems channel. I'm Dr. Kithsiri, Banking, Revenue and Leadership Systems Architect. I'm dismantling the most common excuse in the banking sales. We lost them on the price. I hear this constantly from the branch managers as well as from the relationship managers. The state bank offered a lower rate. The competitor down the street undercut us. When your team complained like this, it emphasizes the fundamental flaw, how they position your institution. They are fighting for the math war. And this math is based purely on the interest rate. So therefore, there is always someone to go for the lower. Why does this happen? This happened because of the commoditization. Your frontline staff is presenting your product and services just in the same way the bank across the street presents theirs. They rely on product to sell itself. They don't behave just like financial advisors who architect solutions. Let's explore the psychology behind this rate obsession. When a manager drops the interest rate immediately or apologizes for the higher interest rates, they are exhibiting lack of confidence in the value proposition of the institution. They are taking the path of least resistance. Therefore, we just want to understand the fundamentals of value proposition designed, pioneered by Alexander and Pigner. Their framework forces us to think on this process in a different way. According to the framework, customers don't just buy the products. They hire products to do a job. When your team focuses only on the interest rates, they ignore the total job of the customer. Actually, the customer isn't just buying money. They're buying speed, certainty, convenience, and peace of mind. We must also consider the concept of bounded rationality in behavioral economics. Customers oftentimes default focused on single, easily comparable metrics, interest rates, because evaluating complex financial solutions is mentally taxing. Therefore, your team's job is disrupt that bounded rationality, introducing other critical variables. So how do you equip your teams to handle this objection systematically? I introduce total cost of ownership or TCO framework. You must train your sales staff to shift their focus from isolated rate to comprehensive value proposition. This includes speed, flexibility, and the service. Now analyze this interaction. You get an objection from a loan customer. Your rate is 12%, but bank X is offering 11.5%. Now this is the weak defense. Mr. Customer, let me see if I can get the approval for your required rate. This approach immediately devaluing your service. This is the second approach. Mr. Customer, I understand why that rate is attractive. Yes, they are 0.5% cheap on the surface. However, our typical approval process takes only 48 hours, whereas the standard process takes 2 weeks time period. Mr. Customer, you can acquire the machinery within 48 hours time period, rather than risking for 2 weeks time period. If you go ahead with the lesser rate, this is the opportunity cost you have to bear. You show the calculation. Now, do you see the pivot? The conversation is no longer about the math. It's about the business impact. You are selling cost of delay versus the price of that loan. As a senior manager, you need to guide your team to come out of this price trap. I'm going to share with you 3 actionable steps which you can implement immediately. Conduct a realistic audit of your operational strengths. Do you have a faster turnaround time, a more flexible credit committee, dedicated relationship managers? If you have this, document explicitly. They are your actual currency, not the interest rate. This is how you define the value proposition. You have to equip your managers to shift their conversation from rate to value. They should by default ask from the client, what is the most important factor you consider besides the rate? So in your next regional meeting, mandate these role-playing scenarios with your managers, sales officers. Use the TCO reframe. Make it a standard part in their training regimen. The reality is, if you're losing customers because your interest rate is low, actually that is not the case. You are having the value proposition problem, not a pricing problem. We should not accommodate a group of teams who can sell only cheapest product in the market. We have to develop financial solution providers. They have to start selling the comprehensive value. If you recognize that your team is trapped with the commoditized selling approach, you need a systematic approach to elevate their performance. Please read the description about our total branch transformation system. Stop competing on the price. Start competing on the value. I'll see you on the next briefing.